Someone once said that God isn't very talkative, but I've come to realise that He absolutely is. In fact, He has to be just to get our attention. And once He does, He can begin a brand new chapter in our lives.
Shining bright, the beach is calling out my name, the waves are crashing gently, and the breeze is blowing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's so good to have you here, and if you're watching for the first time, thank you so much for stopping by. And to all my regular viewers and subscribers, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly appreciate your love and support. So today I want to talk about hearing from God. Yes, God speaks to all of us. Someone once said that God isn't very talkative, but I've come to realise that He absolutely is. In fact, He has to be just to get our attention. And once He does, He can begin a brand new chapter in our lives. Hearing from God and following divine guidance is one of the most beautiful experiences anyone can have. It's actually much easier than most people think. I remember listening to people of great faith who shared what God was speaking to their hearts, and I used to wish that was me. Their lives seem so peaceful and full of purpose, and I long to have that same clarity, to hear God clearly for myself. So if you've ever felt that way when you see others walking closely with God, know this: you're already hearing from Him. God often used other people to get our attention, just as He used others to reach me. I listen to many YouTubers who are tuned into God's frequency, and their lives are phenomenal. And the truth is, God is no respecter of persons. Every single one of us has the same opportunity to hear from Him. I've shared before that reading Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch awakens something in me. I asked God for that same kind of dialogue, and He immediately impressed on me: pick up the pen, connect it to the paper, and write the thoughts that come to your mind. That was the beginning of what's known as automatic writing, and I've been doing it for nearly 2 years now. I journal the downloads I receive, and some have completely blown my mind. Through this process, God has guided me, He's warned me of danger, and even revealed things before they happened. Sometimes I write down words I don't understand and have to look them up later. One day I received, "You are an alchemist." I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I later learned it refers to someone who can transform things for the better. I also use the Keep Notes app on my phone to jot down messages, but I find there's a different energy when using pen and paper. There's less interference and a deeper spiritual connection. It's more sacred for me personally. Yeah, it is more personal. So before I share any message on YouTube, I always ask God what He wants the people who find me here to hear, and then I write what flows from my heart. Now, to hear God clearly, the mind has to be healed and the noise silenced. And that's not a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process. They say the average person has between 6,000 and 70,000 thoughts a day, and up to 95% of them are repetitive. Many of them are negative. So no wonder we can't hear that still small voice sometimes. But as I quiet my mind and allow it to be renewed, I see life with more clarity. God and man can coexist in a unified personality. We are co-creators with God. The universal law is simple. As you think, so you become. Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he." God never violates our free will, so our thoughts, good or bad, shape our reality. That's why judging others is so dangerous. What we think about others, we ultimately create for ourselves. I've been judged for my spiritual journey, especially for no longer identifying as a Christian. A pastor once commented I'd been captured by the devil. But it's self-destructive to judge another person's path without considering their level of enlightenment or consciousness. Never judge someone else's religion by your own standards of knowledge or truth. So what is the mind? It's our thinking, perceiving and feeling mechanism. It's our conscious and unconscious experiences. The divine spirit actually indwells our mind as what I call the thought adjuster. The question is, are we allowing our minds to be adjusted, or are we clinging to what's familiar? Are we open-minded enough to let spirit teach us something new? It's a question to ask yourself. For some, if it's not in their holy book, they don't want to hear it. But that kind of thinking can actually block us from hearing God. People everywhere are waking up because their old ways of thinking no longer bring peace or results. Sometimes life itself shows us what's expired. A job, a relationship, a home, and we have to let go. Hanging on for dear life only brings misery. I've learned that when God closes a door, it's because he's opening another one. God is so perfect and infinite that we can never truly understand him. The greatest mystery of all is how this perfect God chooses to live within each one of us. Trying to describe that is almost impossible. Some of my experiences with God are beyond words. They are sacred and indescribable. But thankfully, God's Spirit helps us understand truth, not through logic, but through revelation. And that's why I gladly share what I can here on YouTube, hoping my life can reflect God's reality. Faith to me is the highest act of human thought. It means believing beyond what we can fully understand. If humanity truly understood God, this world would look very different. God is always working behind the scenes, reorganising the chaos. So don't be afraid when life feels messy. God's not confused. Everything that happens is part of his divine plan to realign your life. Where you are right now is where you're meant to be, but not where you're meant to stay. Life is about growth. We are created to evolve. Information and truth are everywhere today, but even with all that truth, there's also deception, even in holy books. Only when God's Spirit guides us from within can we truly know the truth that sets us free. That truth brings peace, deep inner peace, no matter what's going on around you. The kind of peace that can't be faked. So when people ask me how I am, I usually say I'm good or I'm excellent. Not because everything's perfect, but because my peace is real. Circumstances don't define who I am. Yes, I still get angry, sad or frustrated, but those are part of the human experience. But I've learned to let those emotions pass through me without judgment and release them back to the universe for recycling. It's a spiritual principle that never fails. Being conscious of hearing God's voice is a beautiful thing. It brings excitement and purpose. And remember, everyone hears God. For example, when you think of someone and they suddenly call or show up, as Jamaicans would say, you're going to live long. That's God's frequency in action. I sense that God is calling each of us to come up higher, to open our hearts and respond to that still small voice. When you do, your life will transform in ways you never imagined possible. My own life, compared to 4 years ago, is unrecognisable. It's been an adventure of faith that I wouldn't trade for anything. God keeps showing me the next chapter, and every step blows my mind. You'll know you're on the right track when you feel His peace. Colossians 3:15 says, "Let the peace of God rule in your hearts." The word rule here means to act as an umpire. So when anxiety or worry tries to take control, let peace be your referee. Yes, so I truly hope this message has blessed someone today. Please like and share it with anyone you think might need this reminder. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more inspiration. Thank you so much for watching Denise's Island Dream. Stay blessed, stay peaceful, and stay connected to God.